With another, yes, we'll start with you.
Me?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Brian Sawich.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
I'm from Hancock, New Hampshire.
Awesome.
And I was wondering if you could make a couple comments regarding the defense budget that was just passed, signed by President Trump, I think, a couple days ago. And could you talk about it in the context of President Eisenhower's warning to the nation about military-industrial complex?
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for your question, and it's so timely because of I think the final number was $738 billion National Defense Authorization Act, the defense budget that was just passed. Also coinciding with this release of the documents about Afghanistan from the Pentagon. How many of you have either read or heard about? Most of you. So this news of how we as a country have been lied to and cheated and seen our taxpayer dollars stolen from us for almost 20 years with this Afghanistan war, in order to continue it, you would think that this would be the most groundbreaking news of the day, and that it would cause immediate action in Congress, especially on the eve of, I think it was released just before the defense bill passed. But it didn't. It didn't. I'm putting together legislation now to form a commission to ensure that we, the American people, have all of the facts and the information, that those responsible are held accountable for the over $1 trillion that we as taxpayers have spent on this war that we should not be waging, that counters and undermines our national security interests. What to speak of the over 2,000 men and women in uniform who've been killed in that war. Another one just a few days ago. It's heartbreaking to think about the loved ones and family members of those who paid the ultimate price in that war, reading this news as it came out about some of the highest leaders in our government across 3 administrations privately scratching their heads and wondering, well, what are we even doing there? Why are we there? And then finding excuses to lie their way through because ultimately they didn't want to admit failure. But your question gets to the heart of it. Who's profiting off of this? Eisenhower warned us in his farewell speech to the nation about the military-industrial complex, the big defense contractors, the fancy Washington consultants who've made incredible amounts of money, who have profited and continue to profit greatly off of this war. What I have heard is that in Eisenhower's original draft of his farewell remarks, it said Congressional Military-Industrial Complex. For some reason, that word got cut out of the final speech that he delivered, but the fact that he linked those two together points to the problem that we face. I voted against that budget for a whole host of reasons. Some of which we're talking about now. The lack of accountability for where our taxpayer dollars are going. Now, my position on this should not be conflated as some are saying, well, you must not support the military then. Nothing could be further from the truth. I am in the military. These are my brothers and sisters in uniform that we're talking about. I still serve now almost 17 years in the Army National Guard. I've deployed twice to the Middle East. And working in my first deployment to Iraq in a medical unit where every single day we were confronted with this terribly high human cost of war. We know who pays the price, which is why as president, as commander-in-chief, I'm bringing this personal experience that I have as a soldier, combined with the experience that I have in Congress, almost 7 years now working very focused on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Homeland Security Committee, on National Security and Foreign Policy. Bringing that experience to serve as Commander-in-Chief, to bring about an end, finally, bring about an end to these regime change wars and nation-building missions that have cost us so dearly as a country. Work to end this new Cold War and arms race that's taking more money out of our pockets and making us less safe, and instead redirect our taxpayer dollars towards investing them in our communities, in our people, in our future. This is the sea change in our foreign policy that we need to make. This is the best way that we can honor our troops, by making sure that they are strong and ready and able to fulfill the mission that we sign up for, to protect and defend our nation, to make sure that we are only sending them on missions truly worthy of their sacrifice, and missions that actually serve our national security interests. Foreign policy is domestic policy. So as we're talking about, well, you know, how do we pay for the things that we need in our communities? You know, how do we make sure our teachers are paid what they deserve, that our kids have what they need in our schools to get a quality education? How do we pay for all these things? In Afghanistan right now, I'm not even talking about everywhere else in the Middle East, just in Afghanistan alone, we are spending $4 billion every month, still, $4 billion every month. That comes out to $5.5 million an hour to hit $4 billion a month. These big numbers, even like, they're hard to wrap your head around on a practical level. When you break it down, $5.5 million every hour. Think about what you could do with that, right? In your community here. Just 3 hours. Yeah, right. Just give us 3 hours. See what kind of impact you could make. It's heartbreaking, really, when you look at it, because there are so many people who are struggling in this country. People who are living paycheck to paycheck, you know, who are living without any kind of peace of mind, concerned that, you know, their child might get sick, or there may be a healthcare emergency, or something will come up where they'll find themselves out on the street. They won't know what to do next, where survival is on the forefront of their minds. And then we're confronted with the truth about where our taxpayer dollars are going and how they're being wasted to further the profits of a military-industrial complex. Or even as we look at healthcare, we pay more money for healthcare than any other country in the world. And who's profiting the most? It's big insurance and big pharma. You know, they are making more and more money as more and more people are struggling just to get the life-saving medicine that they need. So where does this lead us back to? This leads us back to the original point of our leaders making decisions, not what's in the best interest of the country, but what's in the best interest of their own power, or serving their big donors, or whatever the case may be. But there are very real life consequences to this. This is what is required in having the right kind of leadership, strong leadership, that can bring about this change that focuses on we the people.